Hello, everyone. We're just coordinating activities here at the beginning, so just bear with us for a little bit while some of our pieces come together. Um, those of you who are following us know that we actually are running this program this morning two different places. We have a handful of people that have joined us via Zoom. All right, and hello, Zoom folks. Then in addition to that, we are continuing to live stream this session out to YouTube Live. It looks like there are 7 people there. So nice to have everybody here this morning. It takes a little bit of coordination to pull all of this together. So today we are here to focus on Zoom. And specifically, we want to jump into the topics that you would need in order to schedule and host a Zoom meeting. And so here are the things that I think you need to know in order to do that. Number one, we want to spend some time talking about Zoom accounts and signing up for a Zoom account. And then I'm going to propose to you that the process of hosting a Zoom meeting is really 3 steps. It needs to be scheduled, you need to invite, and then you need to start the meeting. And we can really break it down into those 3 simple steps. So we're going to review those processes. And then I'm going to make an offer about practicing, because a lot of times if you don't have confidence in this process, it's a matter of just having some practice time in order to feel better about the process. I'm going to make an offer to you, and then of course we'll talk about what is next. Okay, so once again, the rules have to change a little bit today because of the audience that we Zoom. Nevertheless, as I've always said, one of the things I want you to do is I want you to pretend that we're all sitting around the kitchen table. We all have our morning coffee, and we're just sitting around exploring this technology. Everything is very casual. The people that are on YouTube, so it looks like there's 7 people on YouTube at this point. The people on YouTube, I cannot see you, nor can I hear you. Now, there's also, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6 people on Zoom this morning. And some of you I can see, all right, in the thumbnails up above, but everybody at this point is muted. So I'm not going to hear you, which is what I would recommend that you do. Now, one more thing for those people that are on Zoom, I would really recommend that you use the speaker view, right? And the speaker view is going to be, if you're running on a computer, it's going to be a button up on the upper right-hand side of the screen that allows you to toggle between speaker view and gallery view. If you happen to be running on an iPad, and I see that a few of you are on an iPad, then you're going to find that up on the upper right-hand upper left-hand corner of the screen. But this is going to allow you to switch between gallery view and speaker view. I would recommend speaker view so that you have a little more space in order to see my slide deck. Now, regardless, those of you who are on Zoom, if you are interested in asking a question, I would recommend that you do that via chat. All right, use the chat window. Those of you who are on YouTube, you can use the chat on the right-hand side, or if you are not logged into YouTube, then you can send me a text message at the number which is on the screen, or it's also down on the bar on the bottom of the screen. Send me a text message, and I will be monitoring that. Anybody at any point, if you have any follow-up questions, I really appreciate these follow-up questions that I've gotten over the 10 sessions that we've had, and happy to follow up if there's a question about this particular technology, or really any question about any of the items that we have covered in the past. All right, so those are our rules. Last week, I know a few of you in this session attended last. Monday. Last Monday, we did a session that we referred to as attending a Zoom meeting. And in that session, we broke out what Zoom was, spent some time talking about the recommendation that we have that you should probably install the Zoom app. All right. We talked about the process to join a meeting, and we talked about, specifically spent some time breaking out the Zoom invitation. And then we spent some time learning some basic attendee controls during the meeting. Those of you who would like to revisit those topics, you can go back to links.seniortechclub.com/live8. And there you can actually view the recorded video of that session, and you can access the online materials that we have on the Senior Tech Club site. So with that base of information, today we want to spend some time talking about organizing a meeting, scheduling and hosting a Zoom meeting. All right, so here's the scenario. You are the organizer. And you are the organizer perhaps of a family meeting, or maybe the organizer of a socially distant happy hour, or a virtual lunch, or a neighborhood meeting, or maybe even a business meeting. And what you are looking to do is to understand the process of scheduling, hosting that Zoom meeting. We're going to do a walkthrough of that whole process today. Here are the steps that we're going to break out. Number one, we want to talk about Zoom account. You are going to need a Zoom account in order to schedule and host a meeting. We're going to walk through the scheduling process, point out some of the things that you want to look for. There's a new awareness these days about security of our Zoom meeting. So we want to talk about the security aspects of this. We want to talk about the process of inviting attendees. And my recommendation, you're going to hear me talk about this again, my recommendation of the invitation information, and you just email it to the people that you want to attend the meetings. Right, we'll break that out. We want to talk about how do you start a meeting? How do you launch the Zoom app, and how do you start a meeting? And then we also want to spend some time talking about managing attendees. So for instance, I can see that in our Zoom meeting right here, I have 6 attendees in addition to myself. And how do you manage them? If somebody needs to be muted or somebody needs to be admitted into the meeting. So we'll break out those processes. So once again, here's the steps. Talk about Zoom accounts. We're going to talk about scheduling a Zoom meeting. We'll actually walk through the process. We're going to walk through the process of inviting attendees, how to start a meeting, and how to manage attendees. All right. So everybody ready? Seatbelts fastened. Let's do it. First of all, we have to talk about Zoom accounts. It's interesting, as we talked last week, 3 months ago, the vast majority of us probably had never heard about Zoom. And that all of a sudden, Zoom has become the market leader in this video calling, video meeting space. And I suspect that one of the reasons why they have become so popular is due to the nature of their program. You are going to have to create a Zoom account in order to schedule, host a meeting. As we mentioned last week ago, you do not need to have a Zoom account if you are simply attending a meeting that somebody else is managing, somebody else is scheduling. If you want to schedule one and host it yourself, you are going to have a Zoom account. Now, when you go in and you identify the options, I want to raise to your attention 2 options that you have side by side on the slide on the left-hand part of your screen. On the left column, you have the characteristics of the free account. On the right-hand side, you have the characteristics of the paid account. And as you can see, the charges for that paid account are about $15 per. All right, so now, which do you need? If you take a look at the characteristics of the free account, there is really only one characteristic, which is a limitation that could be a limitation for any of us. And that is limitation on group meetings, that they are limited to 40 minutes or less. Now, a group meeting is 3 or more, right? So if you have a meeting of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up to 100 people, that would be a group meeting. And so you can sign up to use the free account as long as your group meetings are less than 40 minutes. If you're going to be doing casual, um, family meeting, or a quick meeting with a neighborhood group, all right, or a virtual socially distant happy hour, as long as those meetings are less than 40 minutes, there is absolutely no reason for you to upgrade to the pro account. Okay? It's good to know. It's actually that the Zoom company is offering us. Now, on the other hand, for my purposes, I have I have subscribed to the pro account, mostly because I I'm getting involved in Zoom. I've participated in Zoom doing training sessions, not unlike what we're doing here today. And so I happen to have a pro account. And the only reason I have that is because of that 40-minute limit. Right. So there's some background. All right. So now what you're going to do is you want to look at the sign up steps. All right. So I'm just going to do a walk on this process. And this is something that you can do. You don't have to do it now, but perhaps if you don't have a Zoom account yet, you can follow these basic steps or have an awareness of these basic steps, and that will get you through the process. Okay, so what you're going to do is the sign up page is easily found at zoom.us/signup. So you can put that into a web browser, or you can click sign up button. You will even see a sign up button on your Zoom app if you have the app installed. Interestingly, the very first piece of information, sorry, I didn't mean to go back. Right, the very first piece of information that Zoom is going to ask you for is to verify your age. I'm just looking at our audience here. I don't think there's going to be a problem with age. No, they're trying to keep children off of Zoom, so you have an age verification process. Third step, you just have to supply your email address. So they'll give you a single box and they say, enter your email. Now, this is going to be the email address that you're going to use for a login. But what they're going to do with that email address is they're going to send you a verification email. All right. And so after you supply that email address and click submit, then you're going to have to run over to your email, all right, whether it's your email on your iPad or on your desktop or laptop computer. You're going to have to go to your email, look for the verification email from Zoom, click on the button that says activate. Okay. After you have done that process, that activate process will take you back online to the Zoom website, where you will be asked to supply your first and last name. You will be asked to create a password. Right. The good news is on that password screen, they tell you exactly what must be included in that password. There's no hidden secrets. Password has to be 8 characters long, has to include a letter, a number, uppercase and lowercase. Right. And so what you're going to do is you're going to supply that password. Don't forget to record that password so that you don't have to do a password reset. Submit that information, and they will then take you to a screen where you can start a test meeting. And this is just going to be a meeting that you start for yourself. It's a great way for you to become a little more familiar with Zoom tools, and it will be a great way to test out your camera and your microphone for it. That's it. And so you notice that you didn't have to supply a credit card. You didn't have to supply any other personally identifying information. It's a great, simple sign up step. It feels pretty secure, and that will result in your free Zoom account. Okay. So at that particular point, you have the Zoom account and you are ready from an account standpoint, you are ready to schedule and host your meetings. All right. Now, after you've created that Zoom account, you would be able to launch the Zoom app. So this screen on your left is actually captured from the Zoom app Windows machine. And I launched the app, and notice it gives me two options. I can join a meeting. Because remember, you don't have to sign in to join a meeting, or the other option is to sign in. And so at this particular point, you would tap sign in or click on sign in and submit your login, which is going to be your email address and your password that you have recorded. That would take you into Zoom and would bring you to a screen where you have 4 icons front and center right in the middle of the screen. So your Zoom app would then look like this. Now, let me pause just to take a breath. I'm checking for questions to make sure there's anything. Nothing at this point, so that's great. All right, so now a couple of items. So you've created your Zoom account. You've created the free Zoom account. You can always upgrade later if you decide you need that. And you have now launched your app and you've signed in to the app and you are presented with a screen. And so now we want to go to the next step in our process, and that is the process of scheduling a meeting. Okay, so here's how this probably is working. You might be having a phone conversation with somebody that says, hey, I think we should do a Zoom meeting tomorrow on the neighborhood plans for the street repairs that we're doing. Or we should do a Zoom meeting talking to one of your children. Let's do a Zoom meeting tomorrow and let's see how the grandchildren are doing. Right. So whatever you have the plans in mind for scheduling a meeting at some point in the future. Now, there is another icon on the screen where it says new meeting. And so if you wanted to start a meeting right now, you would click on new meeting. But chances are most of these meetings that you do on Zoom are going to be scheduled ahead of time, right? And so what you are going to do is you are going to click on schedule meeting. All right, so let's recreate this. I am going to go to another screen and I will bringing up Zoom. All right, so now what you're looking at is my slide is on the left-hand side. You see my talking head in the middle, and this is my live Zoom application that would be very similar to what you have. If you are running this on an iPad, you're going to have a very similar look. If you happen to be running this on an iPhone, your icons are going to be spread across the middle. Now, I want to make one other comment about my live screen. Notice that I am already part of a meeting, right? I am already hosting a meeting. So consequently, you're seeing return to meeting as one of your items, not new meeting. And then I cannot join a second meeting because I am already in a meeting. So that's why there's a little bit a different look between what you're seeing on the right-hand side and those icons on the left. Those icons on the left would presume that you do not have an active meeting. Okay, so you click on the sorry, there we go. All right, so you click on the schedule icon, and I'm doing that live right now. And by the way, if you access the material for this session online, you will see these numbers 1 through 10 described in order right on the web page. But let's do a walkthrough. So now you are going to schedule a meeting. And for discussion purposes, let's say that this is going to be a family meeting that you are doing with a couple of your kids who are across the country. And so we are going to schedule this meeting for tomorrow. So item number one on the screen, topic of the meeting. All right. Item number two is you're going to use the pull downs in order to pick a date. All right. So on this pull down, now if you're doing this on a laptop or on a tablet, on an iPad, for instance, you're going to use their date pickers up on the bottom of the screen. Here is where you can pick the time. All right. So if we want to do this in the afternoon, and then you can pick this, you can pick a duration. This is item number 2 or 3 on the screen. Now, if you're using a free account and you pick a duration of more than 40 minutes, you'll get a little message on the screen that says your account is going to be limited to a 40-minute screen. You get a confirmation on the time zone. And then I want to talk for a second about this meeting ID component. Recommendation is that you create meeting ID for every Zoom that you create. That is opposed to choosing your personal meeting that you see on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, a personal meeting is a meeting number that can be used over and over again. But the problem with personal meetings is that if somebody learns your personal ID, they would be able to break into your meetings. That process has now been referred to as Zoom bombing, where somebody, an unwanted attendee, pops in the meeting. So Zoom is now recommending, primarily from a security perspective, that when you create a meeting, that you create it and choose generate automatically. So it will create a unique meeting ID every time you create the meeting. It's not a problem. We'll show you how that shows up later in your invitation. Next recommendation is number 6, about passwords. Zoom is now recommending that every password, that every Zoom meeting, in their updates to the application, they are now putting passwords in automatically by default. This is once again so that unwanted attendees don't show up your meetings. All right, next step. What happens with the video and the audio, right? Do you want participants to have video on? Do you want the host to have video on? Do you want audio? Where do you want to get audio for? The vast majority of audio meetings have come using just computer audio, where you're using the speaker and microphone on your laptop or desktop computer. All right, so all of these options can be set. Down on your calendar, you have 3 options here. So remember, you are scheduling. If you really wanted to put this onto a calendar, like a Microsoft Outlook calendar or a Google calendar, you could choose one of these options. But, to be honest with you, I don't think a lot of people in our community, actively keep a calendar, as much as we might have in a previous era. So just for this purpose, I'm going to have you choose other calendars. Right? And then I'm going to give you a peek at a couple of the advanced options on this screen. One that we're also going to recommend from a security standpoint. So this is the third security Zoom recommendation. The first one was generate automatically a meeting ID, 2, have a password, and the third one is to enable the meeting room. Now, enable the waiting room allows you to view the names of people as they pop into the meeting, and you can admit them individually. So once again, this is an opportunity for you to turn away people that were not expected in your meeting. The others are just optional advanced settings, but enable meeting room, I think, is handy from a security perspective. All right, so here's what we did. Let's just do a quick inventory of what we said. We started out identifying the topic, a date, a time, a duration. recommending that you choose generate automatically, that you have a password. You then determine who's going to be active on the video. How are you going to do your audio? Most of the time it's computer audio. If you keep a calendar, you could choose Outlook or Google. Otherwise, I'm going to have you choose other calendar. I'll show you what that looks like in just a bit. And then enable the waiting room. And that is the recommended settings for scheduling a meeting. So now this meeting is going to be scheduled for 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. I am going to tap on the schedule button. If you are running this process from your iPad, instead of saying schedule, it's going to be a done item up on the upper right-hand corner of the screen. But you click on schedule, and then I am going to pause right here because this is something right here that will make your life easier if you can catch this right at this point. Right. So on the left-hand side, you have my screenshot. On the right-hand side, you have the response of the Zoom app on my computer. All right. Here's what you have. You have already scheduled the meeting. The meeting has already been scheduled. Zoom knows about this meeting. But what you are viewing here is the invitation information. Right. And so as I identify steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the left-hand side, one is here's our family meeting, the date and time as we prescribed. You have that all important join Zoom meeting link. Those of you who are in the session on Monday, we discovered that if you have that Zoom meeting link, that is the easiest, best way to launch or to join a meeting, all right? And that you can click it, and if you have the Zoom app installed, it'll ask you, do you want to run the app, or there is an opportunity for you to use the web browser. But this is a great way of doing it. I want you to notice in this Zoom meeting link that there is actually a meeting ID. And then if you notice here, it says PWD. That's actually the encrypted password, right? So the good news is that meeting ID and the password are actually embedded within that link. It could not be easier for you other than using this link. And then finally, if you happen to have the Zoom app installed and want to launch it from inside the Zoom app, you have a meeting ID and you have a password. So here's what you want to do. This is a really key step in this process. What you want to do is you want to copy this information to your clipboard, right? Copy to clipboard is one of the items. Copy to clipboard means that you can then navigate over to your email app, whatever it is, if it's Gmail, if it's Outlook, if you use Yahoo, whatever your Gmail app or whatever your email app is, you can then go to your email app and you can paste this invitation information into the email. And that's all that another participant, that one of your attendees for the meeting would need in order to join the meeting. They'll have the join Zoom meeting link. All right. So this is a really important step. How we got to this point, by the way, I'm just going to back up on the slide deck so that we entered the meeting details and then you clicked on schedule, and then that brought up this schedule information, and you would then click on the copy to clipboard. That brings the information into your clipboard so that you can now paste it into the body of an email message. And of course, if you do pasting, most people doing, experience with this will probably do, if you're on a Windows computer, you might do a Control V, V as in Victor, to do the paste. If you are on a Mac computer, you would do a Command V in order to paste it into a message. You can paste it into the message. You can identify all of the attendees, in the to box. You can wrap some other words around the email message, and that will be it. And you send that email to the other attendees, and your meeting is scheduled and ready to start. at whatever that particular time is. Okay. So my recommendation on sending invitations. Now, Zoom does offer some other tools for doing invitations where you could enter your contacts into the Zoom app. There's some other ways of doing it. But I'm telling you, if you capture this invitation information right at the end of this process and immediately grab it and email it to the other attendees of the meeting, that is going to be the easiest way for you to send out that clipboard. All right, so I'm just going to X out of this here, right? And now we are at a point, or here's where I just identify that invitation process. So you're going to paste that invitation text into the body of an email. You can include other topics, other addenda, send it to all the participants, and you are off and running. I just wanted to make another couple notes about some other apps, so that if you happen to be an iPad user and you're scheduling a meeting, you're going to press done to schedule, right? Rather than the schedule button, you're going to have a done command at the top. And then beautifully, Mail app is launched and the invitation information is in the body of that message. Beautifully done on the iPad. On your computer, you actually have to copy it and then you have to paste it over to the email. For an iPhone user, it's a little bit different. Once again, you type done to schedule, and then you're going to access the meeting, and I'll show you how to do that. Access the meeting. You're going to tap on the meeting, add invitees, and that will actually frame the email message, or you can also send it text if you're using an iPhone. All right, let's talk about starting the meeting. All right, so we're back to here. Now, again, we're looking at my live screen on the right-hand side. We're looking at the screenshot. When the date and time for your meeting arrives, really simple to get this meeting started. You're just going to launch the Zoom app, and right on the main screen, you are going to see a start button that's associated with the meeting. All right, and so like in my case right here, on the right-hand side, I do not have a start button because this is the current meeting. We're in this meeting. It says in progress. But if you are coming up on the meeting and you are coming into the Zoom app just ahead of this meeting date and time, you're going to see a start button right on the main screen. But now let's talk about if you don't have that meeting. I am going to tap on the meetings icon. And if you're an iPad user, you also have a meetings icon on the right-hand side. I tap on meetings, and what you're going to see would be all of the meetings that you have scheduled. All right, so I have 3 things going on. I have a list of 3 meetings. Family meeting for tomorrow. I have another Zoom training session tomorrow morning. Don't show up, please. And then finally, I have today's session that we're doing right now. Okay, so how do you start one of these meetings? It's really simple. All you need to do is click on the meeting and tap on the start. All right, and that's what I'm depicting on the right-hand side over here. Now, the reason that my start button is not available right now is because I am already in a meeting. I cannot start a second meeting while I'm in the first meeting. I do want you to notice on the screen, on the left-hand side, on the slide, that you are given a start button way on the top of this screen, all right? And don't get tricked into clicking on the start associated with your personal meeting ID. What you want to do is you want to click on the start that is associated with the particular meeting. So the way you get to your meeting list is you tap on meetings, you see your meeting list, click on the start button that is associated with that. This start button up here would be the equivalent of starting a meeting right now. All right, and that is starting a meeting with your personal ID. All right. When you start this, you will now jump into the meeting screen, which looks very similar to the attendee meeting screen. It is essentially the same screen, right? However, you have some added responsibilities now, that as the host of this meeting, you have the ability to manage the attendees, right? In that you might, in fact, I am going to pull up um, as an example here. Here we go. So here is an example. Oh, sorry. There we go. Sorry, I'm making everybody dizzy from that's one, and I want this. All right. All right. So now on this screen on the left-hand side, talking about participants, if you have a waiting room set up, you would then have to admit, that's point number one, you would have to admit people to your meeting. This allows you to screen people that you don't want. Item number two on this list, there is also a command to mute all. So if you are doing a presentation like this, you probably want all of your participants to be muted. But on the other hand, if this is a family meeting, yeah, you wouldn't want that. You probably wouldn't use that mute all. You might use the unmute all, however, if you want everybody on board. And then if you tap on this number four, the three dots, the more menu, then you're going to see some of the other parameters of this meeting. All right. So the point here is that as a meeting host, look to your participants list. And to get to your participant, all you do is tap on the participants icon on the bottom part of the screen. And this would allow you to access the participants list where you can manage, you could actually kick somebody out of the meeting, mute everybody, you can unmute everybody. You can actually do a right click on a participant in order to mute their video, but you cannot unmute the video. You can ask to have them unmuted, but if that happens, then the participant would have to allow that. So that point here is that as the host, you do have control over attendees within your meeting. Okay, that's it. All right, so here's what we did in this process. We talked about Zoom accounts. We just kind of did a walkthrough process to create a Zoom account. I would recommend that a free basic is probably enough to get you going. And the only reason why you would consider the more advanced account is to, if the 40-minute limitation is a problem. We actually broke out that scheduling and hosting a meeting is really a three-step process. We broke it down to 3 steps. Step number one is to schedule. And the schedule button goes right on the main screen. In fact, let me pull this here. Right on the main screen of your app, you can click on schedule, and that'll bring you into the scheduling details. When you do that schedule, let me just complete this process. You click on the schedule button. This is a key step right here, because this step allows you to copy the invitation information over to your email client so that you can then send an email to all of the participants. And then we discovered that the third and final step of, hosting a meeting is to go to your meetings list or on the main screen and click on the start button that is associated with the meeting. And then once that meeting starts, then you have essentially the same controls that you had as an attendee. The one exception is you have more responsibility for actually managing the participants. Yeah, there was a question that came in. So if you want to deal with this 40-minute limitation, I've seen a couple things with that limitation. One is it seems like the first time they might be forgiving and allow you to go past that 40-minute limitation. So once you exceed that, they might let you get past it. But I think that if they do cut you off, all right, I think that you're going to have to recreate a second meeting. And to that point, yeah, you could come in and actually schedule the meeting once again. The problem is, or it's not really a problem, but understand that when you set up a second meeting, that'll have a unique meeting ID. All right, and so that that would be an extra startup step. So yeah, you're going to have to walk through that process one more time. Um, if you have other questions, you can send me an email at questions@seniortechclub.com. I do want to show you what you have down on the website, so that if you go to links.seniortechclub.com/live10, that will take you to a window that looks. Sorry, I can't switch my screens here. There we go. All right, that'll take you into a screen that looks like this. All right, so this is your live 10, and on here, tomorrow when you come into this, you're going to see a recorded video, but you can also click on how to attend a Zoom meeting, or you can click on how to schedule and host a Zoom meeting in order to get into more detail. That how to schedule and host a meeting is going to look like this screen. And this is a screen where there's a table of contents up on the upper right. But if you want to understand how to do the scheduling, all right, here is the schedule a meeting, and I've given you all of the details. And so if you need to revisit any of these components, these would all be available on the screen. All right. All right. Our next session. All right, let me go back to here. All right, our next session is on Thursday. We're going to continue our regular schedule with one difference. On Thursday, we're going to focus on the control center, and the control center on your iPhone is that that set of controls that you can pull down that will be very useful in helping you control things like do not disturb, or putting your phone into dark mode, or other components. On Thursday, I am actually going to pre-record that session. So you would still be able to come in 10 o'clock on Thursday morning and watch the session. But by full disclosure, it's going to be pre-recorded, and I am going to pull that together in advance. One final item is, if you want to keep track of either what we've done or where we're going, you can go to the site links.seniortechclub.com/live. And that will take you to a screen like this one. All right, so this is the live screen, where on this screen, I'm going to try and not make you dizzy by scrolling here. On this screen, you have upcoming live sessions, all right, where you can keep track of our future topics. And then you have previous live classes where you can actually review the video. You can see the video, and you can review the materials from any of the previous live sessions. So this is live number 10. Thursdays will be live 11. We're going to keep going, at least for now. We'll never run out of topics, and hopefully you have found these sessions to be valuable. Finally, thank you for coming today. We had a great turnout. We had people on YouTube. We had people on Zoom. Please stay well. Please stay at home. All right, stay hunkered down. Keep washing your hands. Keep learning. And we'll hope to see you online soon. Thank you.